Hey, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you guys are having a good day, good night, wherever you're watching in from. Right now, about 7:30 a.m. my time, so I need to wake the hell up. But I told you guys I was going to have a crypto happy hour last night. Got held up at real happy hour, got held up in traffic getting out of the city, so wasn't able to do that. So I wanted to pop in here before work today to talk to you guys a little bit about what's been happening, answer some questions, and hang out for a little bit while I have my... was going to be morning coffee, but it's snowing outside, and I really don't feel like shoveling my driveway, so I didn't get a chance to go out and get a coffee. So I got my morning tea, the only thing I could get a caffeine fix on. So that's what I'm doing here. And hope you guys are having a good one. Looking forward to chatting with you, hanging out a little bit, and getting the party started. So let me just make sure everything is good to go here on... Sweet. So, looking at these questions, and guys, as usual, I will try to get to as many questions as possible. But if there's absolutely something you must have answered, throw it in a super chat, and I will definitely get to that. But outside of that, hope you guys are having a good morning, good night, whatever is going on. I want snow. Absolutely, snow sucks. I hate snow. At least I hate snow and I have to shovel it. I'll tell you that much. And hopefully this works a little bit better for you guys that are in the UK. And a lot of you guys, I usually do the YouTube crypto happy hours when you guys are sleeping or whatever. But if you're in Europe, hopefully this is all right for you. So looking at looking overall at the charts, what's been happening in the past day or so, the altcoins, a lot of the altcoins have made some really nice movements up, which has been pretty good to see, especially for a lot of people that haven't been too heavily weighted in Bitcoin, have been waiting for those altcoins to pump for quite some time. A lot of the major altcoins out there have had a pretty nice pump as of late. Whether it's been Ethereum basically hitting an all-time high in the past couple days, up above $700. You got Bitcoin Cash, Bcash, whatever you want to call it, making a nice little bit of a run. Monero 5% away from its all-time high. EOS crushing it. Cardano 5% away. Neo only 10% away, hit its all-time high. Or pretty close to its all-time high, up to $48 or so. So it's been a good run for a lot of people. Going in here to, hold on one second as I sign into Coinigy. Get the old two-factor authentication trick. Sweet. So taking a look at some of these questions here. ETH, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash at these all-time highs. Yeah, a lot of them are pretty close, if not at their all-time highs. We can take a look at days since all-time high. And there have been 10 cryptos that in the past 24 hours have hit an all-time high. And that's just on on-chain FX. I mean, that number is probably greater on CoinMarketCap. But on-chain FX, the number that's hit their all-time highs. You have Ethereum, you have Ripple, Dash, Monero, EOS, Neo, Qtum, Zcash, Tron, ZRX, all hit within the past 24 hours. And then in the past 48 hours, you also have Litecoin, Waves, Decreed. We got Dogecoin. What's up, Dogecoin? What do you think the next Coinbase additions will be? I think this is a question that seems like everybody on the planet wants to answer and or wants to ask. And to be pretty frank, I don't think there's any reason to. I mean, at least in my opinion, I don't think there's a big reason to speculate on it. I would try to buy crypto based on the fundamentals. And if you think that maybe that has some chance of being added to Coinbase, great. But outside of that, I wouldn't buy a crypto asset, cryptocurrency, whatever, specifically because you think it's going to be the next one to be added to Coinbase. They are going to add additional crypto to Coinbase, to GDAX at some point in time. What that is, I think people are trying to speculate on to make a play, but it's tough to say that one is specifically going to be added over another, anything like that. So I've been pretty hesitant to try and name them for now. but that's a question that seems to be something that everybody, definitely wants to ask. A couple of different people mentioned Cardano. Yeah, I've been accumulating quite a bit of Cardano recently. It's just below its all-time high. It hasn't really spiked up like a lot of the other cryptos out there have, but that's also because it's had a big run previously. So I've liked where Cardano's at. That's been one of the ones I have been accumulating. That's definitely for sure. So I've been happy about accumulating Cardano where it is here. I was happy about Zcash as well. I know I bought into Zcash in the 300, 350 range. It didn't do much while everything else is running, and it's finally come and kind of run with everything else. So Zcash I've been happy with. ZRX, I know a couple different people out there. I mentioned, so after that meetup that I went to, I think it was a week and a half ago now, maybe 2 weeks ago. So after that meetup that I went to, I talked about Cardano, increasing my stack in Cardano. ZRX was another one. VeChain was another one. ZRX has crushed it since then. So hopefully, I bought a little bit of ZRX and then I moved more of it into Cardano. So I might have been better off keeping it in ZRX, but hopefully if you bought in at that point in time, you've been enjoying some nice gains. So we'll see what's going on with that. Verge is John McAfee approved. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. He's nuts, man. And guys, trying to get to as many of these questions as as I possibly can. But if there is anything you absolutely must have answered, throw it in the super chat, and I'll definitely get to that. So looking at some more of these questions here, what do you think about the crazy volume on Litecoin at $300 on GDAX? Let's see if we can pull that up. So it looks like, if it's talking about this candle down here, maybe yesterday around noontime Eastern, where Litecoin sold all the way down to, I don't know, 275 or so, found some level of support. And then here and here, I think that Litecoin was, it seems to me at least that in a lot of respects, Litecoin and is kind of indicative of just this marketplace right now. Litecoin is indicative of the market. And when I say that, I mean that a lot of coins just pump. And then after they pump, I don't want to say they die off, but they, once they pump, things cool off, and then people are looking for that next pump, and they try to find the next crypto. So they take their money out of Litecoin and they put it in something else. And granted, you have some people that like Litecoin, you have some people that really like the crypto, and they're hodlers and they're long term into Litecoin and all that stuff. But there's a lot of people that also bought somewhere in this spectrum, bought for the gains. They got a huge profit. And then they took that money out and they're looking for the next, they're looking for the next Litecoin. So they were looking maybe for Ripple yesterday, which was up 50%, or they're looking for the next Tron or whatever it is. The market has ADD. There's absolutely, I think, in my opinion, there's really no way to say that's not the case. The market really does have ADD, and people like to try to find that next pump, and the market does tend to do that. So why it pumps and why that happens in a lot of cases, just money throwing into trying to find that next big movement. So I'm looking at a couple questions here. Do I think NEO is a good long-term investment? I think NEO is an interesting one. I've made some trades on NEO before, in which I've ended up making a pretty nice profit on them, which was great. So NEO is definitely a good one. I bought NEO at $6. I think I sold at $36, which is great. I really like that. But on the spectrum of Neo, I think a lot of it has to do with China, Asia. People just associate that with China, Asia, and for better or for worse, that has some level of association. So until that changes in some respect, who knows? I need to do a little bit. I think Neo needs to do a little bit of improvement, but they've been marketing themselves well. I like the Neo team. They market themselves well. They carry themselves well. But I think the whole China, I think Neo is just really in a great position prior to China banning ICOs. That was the hot crypto of August and early September. Then China came out with the ICO news and just like crushed Neo's dreams and hopes. So from Holland, thank you very much for that super chat, my man. Appreciate that. What about quantum computers breaking the Bitcoin blockchain in the future? I mean, I think it's a concern about Bitcoin long term, but at the same point in time, until something breaks, until something really is able to solve cryptography and solve that level of cryptography, I'm not too worried. But that's not to say, I mean, Bitcoin exchanges have been hacked, things associated with Bitcoin have been hacked, but Bitcoin itself has never been hacked. And until there's some modicum of reasoning to say that should be the case, then I feel pretty comfortable with it. So I'm not too worried about that. 41,000 Ross, thank you for the super chat, my man. $41,000 in the order book on GDAX. Typical psychology level of support, Charlie, and/or how about we see another huge pump? So I don't know necessarily if we're going to see, I mean, this could be completely wrong, but when we talk about seeing a huge pump in Litecoin, I do think that a lot of people, when it comes down to it, like I was talking about before, are looking for that next big pump up. They're looking for that next big thing. And right now, Litecoin's at a $16 billion market cap. It's at about $300 in price USD-wise. So I think some people, especially, there's this whole cycle that's going on right now where people are getting into crypto. They're brand new to crypto. They get onto CoinBase. They say, okay, I'm looking at Bitcoin. I'm looking at Ethereum. I'm looking at Litecoin. Maybe I'm going to buy one. Maybe I'm going to buy all three. And then once I do that, I'm going to try to maybe move some money around. And I want to try to find the next big thing. And when I do that, I'm looking for Litecoin already went up 400%, 300%. So what's the next Litecoin? And I think because Litecoin has already pumped quite a bit, maybe it might cool down a little bit or stabilize before it pumps again because people are chasing the next thing. But yeah. So and appreciate that, Ross. Thank you very much. Somebody else mentioned what's up with Props. I think Props has run a pretty nice ICO so far. I know that they sold out for non-accredited investors on Coin Republic or Republic Crypto, excuse me. And I think the coin list, they had that oversubscribed as well. So pretty happy with how Props is doing. I think I'm speaking to the team again soon, so looking forward to seeing how that ends up. But yeah, they're a smart team that can execute, and the way they're running their ICO, I think, is definitely admirable. Roberto Gonzalez, thank you for that. Thanks for your work and time. Any interesting low-cost coin to accumulate? Already have Cardano. I mean, the one thing that I would definitely say is it doesn't matter the price of a crypto. It matters how much it's going to potentially move over time. Doesn't matter if it's 1 cent. Doesn't matter if it's half a cent. Doesn't matter if it's like Bitcoin and it's $16,000. The cost of the crypto doesn't matter. It matters how much money you put into it, and then it matters the percentage gains. So just because you only have maybe, let's say, $1,000 and you can't buy even a tenth of a Bitcoin, doesn't mean that if you put $1,000 into Bitcoin, that if Bitcoin goes up to $50,000 a Bitcoin at one point in time, that your $1,000 is not now worth $3,500, $4,000, whatever. So I think that's something that you do want to keep in mind, that the cost of the crypto is not that big of a deal. It's more the percentage gains that you think are possible long term. But low cost coins, I mean, it's tough because I don't really look at crypto that way. So, I mean, you could look and you could go down and you could do price US dollar wise, and you can try and pick something that you could potentially buy a bunch of. And if you're going to go down that route, I'm not a huge Ripple guy, but I mean, Ripple's a coin that's cheap in terms of, overall the number of the dollar sign next to it is 56 cents. But that's because there's a massive supply of Ripple. and a big supply outstanding. So, that's one. A couple others. I mean, the thing is, a lot of them are like product-based utility tokens. ZRX is one that, again, it's pretty close to the all-time high, but I like ZRX. So I think if there's the decentralized exchanges, they definitely cooled off over the month of September, October, like over October and November or so, but they're kind of picking back up. So ZeroX is one of those decentralized exchanges that might end up pulling some nice things in. Kimmy, appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much for that. None your business. So somebody said invest in privacy coins. Yeah, I have some money in Zcash. That's turned out to be pretty good. But Monero and Zcash are the two big daddies in the room when it comes down to privacy coins. We can take a look here. So let's where we got privacy. They gotta have privacy somewhere. There we go. So privacy coins, this is only on on-chain FX, so there's other ones out there. There's also like Navcoin, there's Verge, there's a couple other ones. But Zcash and Monero are the two big daddies when it comes to privacy. So I went with Zcash previously about a month or so ago, and a lot of that was because some of the institutional investment that was happening with Zcash. I know a lot of people, the whole digital currency group, Barry Silbert, is big on Zcash over Monero. One of the reasons that I bought Zcash over Monero is because Zcash was pretty far away from its all-time high, whereas Monero at the time was basically establishing new all-time highs on a daily basis. So I asked a lot of people, technically speaking, what's the difference? There were technical differences, but not that many people could give me a firm reason why I should invest in one over the other, so I went with the cheaper one at that point. Hardware wallet for alts, Ryan, I use my Ledger Nano S for as much as I possibly can, and then if it comes down to something else, some of the other wallets, it is on an individual basis where those wallets, where you might be able to use those. But Ledger Nano S is where I store the vast majority of my crypto. So I would definitely recommend that. Trezor, I can't pronounce it because I have a freaking lisp, but Trezor has a good hardware wallet as well, but I would recommend getting a hardware wallet, especially because the ERC20 tokens, you can store a Ledger, with a Ledger Nano S, you can use an ERC20 token, any ERC20 token you can store with my Ether wallet. Bacon or sausage, it's that time of the morning, and I'm a bacon guy, but I like, I'm not a huge breakfast food dude in general, but I can eat bacon any time of the week. So somebody's asked about Electroneum a bunch of times. We'll take a look at this bad boy. Kind of did what I thought it was going to do. I think that their wallets, the wallet is finally accessible for all the new folks that invested in the ICO. So we can see here what happened around the time of that, the wallet basically becoming accessible to individuals. I think it was up to about 13 cents at the high, maybe 14 cents. And then as soon as the wallet became accessible and people could really sell their... And certainly somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't participate in the ICO, but basically the situation with Electroneum, which I wasn't a big fan of, is, well, number one, it's only on Cryptopia, which is a smaller exchange, but they launched and they had some technical issues, and anybody who put their money in the ICO actually couldn't access their tokens, but they opened up the network so people could mine it. But so the only people that were really creating the market were miners. So depending upon where you got in at the ICO, it sounded like on paper you were making a ton of money, but in reality you couldn't sell it, so you weren't making a ton of money. What I figured would happen is a lot of people, once they saw how much they could potentially sell their Electroneum for, they would take some heavy profits because they're right now it's up quite a bit since the ICO. So that's something that I think it's interesting to see. I haven't been, quite frankly, I know a lot of people got mad at me or whatever, but I wasn't a big fan of Electroneum, how they ran the launch of their ICO, or the launch after their ICO. So I wasn't a big fan of that personally. But if they can turn things around, if they can execute, then good on them. But I'm not going to put I'm not going to put too much into. I'm not invested at all in them. Give me a second here for this tea. Hopefully it's not too hot. New coin, decent bet, D-bet. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Thanks for the super chat, Patrick. I appreciate it. Why is Tron not getting the attention it deserves? I mean, we could pull up Tron. I mean, that's over up 100% today. Take a look at Tron. Let's see if they got their website here. Come on, CoinMarketCap. Let's get it done. So Tron and then, or D-Bet and Tron. We can talk about both. So decent bet. Not too familiar with them. I mean, there are so many ICOs. Harpo, an American that drinks tea. I'm drinking tea solely because it's snowing outside and I don't feel like shoveling my driveway. And the only caffeine I have in my house right now is tea. So that's what I need to get the body moving. But decent bet. So not too familiar with these with these guys. Have to take a look. The one thing I would say, I don't know if this is open to American investors, but receive quarterly returns. Anything that looks to me, just off the top, basically off the top of my head, that looks to me like security. Anything that promises any level of returns, any dividend, that looks like a security. So that might be something that won't get added to maybe a ton of exchanges now because it looks like a security. So I would have to do a little bit more research on that to give you anything in general. Not that being a security is a bad thing, just at least in the U.S., if that's the case, then that's not always the easiest thing for some of these companies to get listed on exchanges and to open themselves up to some regulatory issues. Chris Smith, Decentraland is growing exponentially. It's one that is going under the radar, but will be a monster. It crept up into the top 40 pretty quickly. Yeah, we can so we can pull up that after Tron, Decentraland, Mana. So, yeah, Decentraland is one that, wow, Tron has absolutely crushed it. Holy crap. Yeah, I mean, in the past, so let's see here. So Tron's up about 10x since the ICO in general. All-time high range right now, market cap over $1 billion. In the past month or so, Tron's gone from $150 million market cap all the way up to $1.2 billion. Pretty crazy movement. Prior to, basically 10 days ago, it was trading at less than, basically 10 days ago, it was trading less than a fifth of a cent, so 0.002 cents US dollar. Now it's trading at almost 2 cents, so it's almost up 10x. I mean, that's one heck of a move. Look, you can see all the volume there as well. I don't know when I'm assuming it's been, I don't know how long it's been on Binance or if that's been a huge volume driver, but and CoinNest as well, $85 million in volume. A couple different people who have been talking about Tron in the background that I've just kind of been listening to a little bit. So I don't have any money in Tron. But that's, I mean, that's one heck of a move. You have to be, pretty damn impressed by that. Decentraland is another one that's had a really nice movement recently. Where do we go here? So at the meetup that I was at pretty recently, we were talking about Decentraland quite a bit, and from a Bitcoin trading pairing perspective, it's kind of where it started back in mid-September. It really cooled off quite a bit, but right now, back up to kind of those all-time highs that it was at maybe previously, perhaps a little bit above that, but has gone up from being about less than 2 cents early December to over 13 cents right now. So if you had money, if you accumulated back then that's a fantastic move. Decentraland, I mean, as far as it seems to me, just off the top, platform-wise, I mean, one of those. It's kind of a long shot, like running virtual reality on the Ethereum blockchain. The whole scalability issue. This is fascinating to me just in general, but I think CryptoKitties and having Genesis City and having some of these platforms and some of these games kind of get started is that's a big deal. But the actual usability of Ethereum as a decentralized world computer right now still has a ways to go. But this is pretty fascinating. Like, this is the real world application potentially of Ethereum, which is really interesting stuff. So having something like Decentraland, having something like Decentraland do well long term, that's pretty. It would be pretty incredible. I think a lot of this is right now speculation based upon how this can end up. Speculation on how this can end up moving forward. I know some of the people on the advisory board. I think the team that they have is pretty legit in place. So Decentraland is a good one that I think is pretty well in with the Silicon Valley folks. So one to certainly consider. I wonder why Tether hasn't pumped yet. What am I missing? Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, Tether hasn't pumped. It's the only one that hasn't really pumped. It's been crazy. I don't know why. I don't know how Tether hasn't pumped, but this crazy thing keeps happening with all the supply of Tether. But right now, no, it hasn't pumped. It's unfortunate. Binance gave me 500 free Tron. That's pretty cool. I've actually liked Binance a lot recently. I mean, Binance has been Binance for me. I've actually, in some cases, even enjoyed using it a little bit over. I've in some cases enjoyed using it. So if you're not familiar with it, I mean, I've enjoyed using it in a lot of respects, even over Bittrex recently. I mean, the platform itself, it's pretty legit, and they added stop limit orders as well. So I mean, they have limit, they have market, and they have stop limit. So I've been a fan of Binance as compared to, in some cases, as compared to Bittrex too. So Bittrex is obviously the big daddy in the room, but Binance is pretty legit, and they have a few more tokens out there than Bittrex does in some respects. They're a little bit quicker to add some tokens as well. And I think they've been gaining a lot of market share because of that. So I've been a big fan of Binance. They added LTC trading pairings, or some LTC trading pairings as well pretty recently. So pretty good stuff. If you don't have a Binance account, I don't know if that link will work, but that's the link that I have that you can get signed up there if you want to. If not, don't really care. But Binance been pretty legit too. So yeah, if you're not signed up, I just put a link in the comments, or just go to cryptobobby.com/Binance. I think that knocks some of the fees off a little bit for you as well. So taking a look here, what do you think of ARK? What do I think about cloud mining? Personally, I don't think cloud mining for the most part is. I'm not a big fan of cloud mining personally. I think that you're better off buying and holding the crypto than you are locking up your money long-term into cloud mining contracts. I think anything in crypto where you don't have the big advantage in a lot of respects for, at least in my opinion, so typically the big one is Genesis Mining. That is, I believe, the biggest cloud mining company. And the thing is, you're locking up in a lot of respects. You're locking up your money long term, and you can pretty simply, if you want to, I've done this before, but profitability. So crypto mining profitability, we can pop over here. We'll just take a look at Monero, because that's what's available right now on Genesis Mining. So if you wanted to see if it was yeah, Matas, I'm avoiding your question because I don't have any other questions coming in, my man. I'm just avoiding yours because I hate you. I am not avoiding your question. I'm kidding. I am a jackass, but I am not avoiding your question. So if I can't get to your question, I really do apologize. But guys, as I always say too, if you absolutely must have it answered, I'll throw it in the super chat. Other than that, I try to get to as many questions as possible. So I really do apologize. I don't hate you. If I'm not getting to your question, I do apologize. But it's typically just, there's only so many questions I can answer. But I'm sorry. But just going to the cloud mining real quick. So, I mean, if you wanted to mine Monero, the simple thing that you could do, you go to Genesis Mining. It's a 2-year contract, so you're paying $830 for that 2-year contract. You're getting 1,000. You're getting 1,000 hash per second. So there is no power consumption. So it's cloud mining, but there is a profitability that they take. I don't remember off the top of my head how much that they take. What the direct fee that they take is for that $24, or for that $830. But according to this, with Genesis Mining, if you were to pay $830 without the fee that they take, which I think is pretty substantial, it's maybe 40%. But if there was no fee whatsoever, you'd be making $100 a month. You'd make $1,300 a year. So you would make $2,600 for that over the course of 2 years for that $830 that you invested. However, the price of whatever, Monero, Bitcoin could double easily in that time, and then you lose out on those gains. So that's something you just want to consider. Chris Smith, I appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much, my dude. Last question: can you look into Bitcoin God? They said they are going to do an airdrop for Neo holders. So if you're holding Neo, you get Bitcoin God. I can't keep up with the level of Bitcoin forks that are happening. I'm assuming that's not Bitcoin Gold. Okay. Wow. Okay. So what is Bitcoin God? The Merkle. So we'll click on that because the Merkle is usually fairly decent. So Bitcoin God is apparently a real thing. Haroon, I appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much, my dude. So Bitcoin God, I need to do a little bit more due diligence on this. I mean, there are way too many Bitcoin forks out there, which is nuts. I mean, even the one funny thing too about Binance as well, and I know you're not supposed to keep your crypto on you're not supposed to keep crypto on an exchange, but Binance credits one of the big reasons. So it's been interesting to see too, just from an overall business perspective. I watch this stuff. I'm interested in the space, but it's been interesting to see. So Haroon, I will get to that question in a second for sure, my man. And thank you again for the super chat. And Chris, I'll talk a little bit about it too, just like Bitcoin God or whatever. But Binance, you don't want to keep your money on an exchange really, but it's hard to keep track of a lot of these forks. Binance has been crediting the absolute heck out of every fork, whereas something like Coinbase, if you have your Bitcoin on Coinbase, then they need to go through the legal due diligence to make sure it's not security, to make sure that they're not going to get sued by the SEC, by the IRS, by whoever. So they don't credit forks fast or credit forks at all. But something like Binance, which is basically just in this huge rush to grab users, is I've gotten multiple forks. I don't even know what the heck they are. So been pretty crazy. So one of the reasons that I think a lot of people are migrating to Bitcoin, to Binance as well. But Haroon, thank you for that super chat. Do you think Bitcoin will have a run due to the CME? Can we buy alts at a good rate on swing? I mean, altcoins are, it looks to me, and I talked a little bit about it in the video yesterday, but it looks to me like altcoins are making, kind of gaining steam as Bitcoin might level off. And potentially, I think it's the top level in a lot of respects of these altcoins, where the institutions are just kind of, the big players are just, the institutional money are just dipping their toes into, outside of the Bitcoins, the Ethereums, the Litecoins, maybe the Ripples. So I think the institutional investors are just kind of getting started there. And do I think that I think Bitcoin might have one last kind of big run in it due to the CME. It's certainly possible. CME Group is bigger than the CBOE when it comes to futures. So that exchange is launching on December 18th. So there's a lot of anticipation for the CBOE futures, but I think the CME might even have a larger impact. Jekker there, appreciate that super chat. I have no idea what SEK is as a currency, but 50 of anything I'll take, so I appreciate that very much. What are your picks for the coins that might be added to Coinbase, and do you know when this will happen? So I talked a little bit about this previously, but you might not have. You might have just joined, so I'll definitely answer that, and thank you again for the super chat on that. I think it's hard to anticipate exactly what it's going to be. I think trying to anticipate it is also not the best move. you don't want to buy crypto just because you think it's going to be the next one that's added to Coinbase. But with that being said, if it's something that is added to Coinbase, it has to be very clear that it's not a security. So I think, some of the utility tokens might not be, might not be ones that are added because, you can make the debate that a utility token is a security. So Coinbase is going to do a lot of due diligence on it to make sure that they don't add any securities. So I think Bitcoin Cash is probably going to be one of the first ones that gets added because I believe Coinbase and GDAX are crediting users for Bitcoin Cash. So if they're crediting users, they're going to have to probably open up a wallet. So at that point in time, they might as well enable trading. I've heard some other people say Ripple might be another one. Ripple, maybe one as well. But outside of that, Some folks have mentioned like a Monero, but I don't know if the privacy element brings a lot of issues into the fold for Coinbase or not when it comes to Monero or something like that, or if they have some type of identifier, which they have on Bittrex when it comes to owning Monero. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm not trying to anticipate really. I'm just trying to look for fundamentals at this point in time. So Chris Smith, thank you very much for that super chat. Very, very kind of you throughout the day. Really do appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome day as well. Thoughts on Request Network, Poets Middle. Let's pop over to this bad boy. And CoinMarketCap is so low. And it's definitely not my internet, I don't think. Yeah, it ain't my internet. It's CoinMarketCap. Yeah, I pay too much for internet every day. So, Request Network, thoughts on Request Network. We'll pop it open. Obviously, having a big run. Nice to see. I mean, it was trading less than a week ago, or around a week ago. It was trading at $40 million in market cap. It's up 4x of that right now. Decentralized network for payment requests. Let's take a look at the team. I've done a little bit of diligence on these guys, but I haven't done the full runaround. I haven't read the white paper, so anything that I say here is not that crazy. I mean, the one thing that, depending upon, like I said, I haven't read the white paper yet, but just off the top, if these things are true, Y Combinator is legit. I mean, anybody in crypto, that adds a level of credibility just off the top. Y Combinator is legit. QuantStamp is also pretty legit. I know they are. They're also Y Combinator company, so they're probably in that same San Fran social circle. But being built with 0x, Aragon, Kyber, Civic, I like to see when companies in the crypto space are working together. Like that's a good thing because it's good for the ecosystem. It builds utility. Like it right now in a lot of respects, the overall market, it's highly speculative. It's basically all speculative. There's not a lot of utility there. So I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at this right now, and I like to see the fact that they're working with Civic, 0x, Aragon, Kyber. They were through Y Combinator. They're working with QuantStamp that had a recent ICO, so I'm pretty happy with that. New York in the office. What up? What up? Is it snowing in New York? It's snowing where I am, and I don't feel like going outside. So somebody said thoughts on Iota lying about their partnership with Microsoft. So I actually tweeted about that. The founder of Iota reached out to me and said that the article was not true. So the article spread around like wildfire. Let's see. We can see here too. So I'll pull it up. So here's the article. It was a pretty aggressive article. It was a day ago, and the founder of Iota reached out to me after I posted it. Was not happy. So basically what happened is Iota pumped pretty hard on rumors that they had a partnership with Microsoft. in a lot of cases, I don't think it was necessarily Iota that was facilitating that news. It might have been, it seems like, and I tried to find it too, to be pretty frank. So I tried to find where, like, everybody's like, oh, there's a Microsoft partnership. There's a Microsoft partnership. I tried to find it, and I couldn't find it. But then this article came out, and it was super aggressive, basically just saying that Iota is not really partnered with Microsoft. They are a Microsoft Azure, a Microsoft Cloud customer, and that obviously being a customer, buying Microsoft software is not the same as having a partnership. But one of the co-founders of Iota reached out to me, and he was like, hey, that's not the case. That's not true. So, I mean, I think Iota technically has some issues with the wallet and some other things like that. But in some respects here, this article I don't think was great. It didn't paint Iota in a very good light, and Iota apparently reached out to them and threatened some legal action if they didn't correct it. So something to consider there. But from Iota's perspective, hold on one second here. But from Iota's perspective, I mean, I think that if this isn't true, the big thing here is that you don't want to see a company, a crypto company, Iota, you don't want to see them misrepresenting any information to boost the price of their crypto. The co-founder said they did not do that, so I'll take their word for it. But there are a lot of other projects out there that do that. So unfortunately, when somebody creates a rumor about this, then people believe it. So I don't have any Iota, but it's good that they were able to clarify on that, because this article was not a positive thing for them. So Rick Hamlet mentioned keeping funds on Coinbase a dumb idea. So I mean, for the most part, I think Coinbase is pretty secure when it comes down to the. So Coinbase is pretty secure when it comes down to the actual, like, their background. Like, I know they're taking incredible security measures to ensure that they don't lose your crypto. I think the big thing with somebody asked for Somebody asked for the Binance link again. So if you want to sign up for Binance, that is there's the link. It's in the comments it's in the comments there. But it's literally cryptobobby.com/Binance if you want to sign up. I like it, but who knows? But the big thing with Coinbase or any other exchange is that I would say, at least in Coinbase's perspective, there's a much greater chance that your account specifically gets hacked than Coinbase itself gets hacked. So what do I mean by that? Is there's a much greater chance that you might not be using two-factor authentication or whatever, and you use Coinbase and you have your Gmail, and then you have your you go on some stupid website, you put your information in somewhere, your password is Bobby123456 and somebody cracks your password because your password's ridiculous, and they go into your Coinbase and they send your shit out there, and there's nothing you can do there. Rather, I think that's a much greater chance of that happening than Coinbase itself getting hacked and losing a lot of your your Bitcoin or your Litecoin or your Ethereum or whatever. So that's definitely something I would be aware of. But if you have two-factor authentication, if you have a very difficult password, and going to that point as well, if you have two-factor authentication, if you have a very tough password, if you're very smart about security and you are not familiar with keeping your crypto safe, I would try to learn as much as possible about keeping your crypto safe. But if you're not familiar with that, I would recommend that in some cases you want to teach yourself that security, but in the interim, before you can teach yourself how to be secure, you might in some cases be okay on Coinbase. Joshua Billings, thank you very much for that super chat. I do appreciate that. Very kind of you. So looking at some of these questions here. All right, none of your business. Just chill out a little bit. So I'm taking a look at some of these questions here. Let's remove the profanity there, Nunya. You're going in a timeout, homie. 0x is in play. I like 0x. I think 0x and Kyber Network have had a pretty nice little run. We'll pop up that bad boy. What do we got here? So yeah, Kyber Network up 30%, close to 30% in the day. 0x also up about 15%. So I've been pretty happy with with the movements on 0x, ZRX. What do you think? People want to buy Ripple just to go to Bitstamp, blah blah blah. It's too early for that language. Yes, it is. It is definitely too early for that. Will XRP at $1 anytime soon? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Thoughts on the net neutrality repeal and its effect on crypto in the future? So I don't know. I haven't been following it super in depth. I don't know how legit the chance of net neutrality getting repealed is or whatever it might be. But on-chain FX is free, so I like on-chain FX. Pretty legit. Pretty good stuff. I've been enjoying it, to be frank, over CoinMarketCap. Less ads. Some cool columns you can choose from, different filters, all that good stuff. It's less crypto for sure. It's only 60, but they're adding stuff on a daily basis. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, but yeah, I've been liking on-chain FX for sure. I'm getting back to that. What was that question here? Okay, yeah, it was in regards to net neutrality. I mean, so there's a couple of two net neutrality plays. Substratum, I think, is one. So I don't have any money in Substratum, but I think that's if net neutrality goes down, if that happens, I think people are going to throw money into Substratum solely because they think that's going to be, and I mean, it's gone up quite a bit. But that could be one of the big cryptos that makes a move because it's trying to be like that decentralized internet in some regards. So I think that could be one of the ones to, one of the ones that could be one of the ones that ends up having some beneficiary from that type of law in place. Exchange supporting USD trade besides GDAX for altcoins. So, I mean, Gemini is the other one. If you're not familiar with Gemini, we'll take a look at that one. So, Gemini is owned by the Winklevoss Bros. You can open up a personal account. I actually don't have an account on Gemini just because I've had an account with Coinbase for so long. And for 3-4 years now with Coinbase, and I have really high buy limits, and I have no issues. I'm all verified and all that good stuff with Coinbase. So a lot of the new people are having a ton of issues with Coinbase, but for me personally, I haven't had any whatsoever. But Gemini is the other one. They're headquartered out of New York. You can open up a personal account, but you can only trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I mean, if you want to trade altcoins, you go on Gemini, you buy Bitcoin, you buy Ethereum, you move that to Binance, you move that to Bittrex, you move that to wherever you want to move it, and you trade from there. So that's definitely the one flow. Nah, Paul, I wasn't blah blah on you, my man. I don't know don't recall what the question is. Joshua Billings there. Let's see here. I think he asked a question there. I got to try and find it though. Josh. Josh, if you could retype in your question, that would be great. I got lost in all the chats, so if you could retype your question there, that'd be really, really excellent. Sorry, apologies on that. So Philip asks, and I think that so Philip asks, and this is what I was talking a little bit about before, but just kind of the market sentiment in general. Your opinion? Do I dump Iota because it's done nothing for a few days and try to jump on another altcoin? That's kind of, and not to pick on you, Phil, but that's just kind of the overall market sentiment. People hop onto a coin, they're looking for 50% gains, they're looking for 100% gains, and then after that coin cools, they get rid of it, and they look for the next thing. So when people say, can something keep pumping, keep pumping, keep pumping? Yeah, it can. In a lot of respects, it can. But the market is very ADD where, you see something like, let's say you bought into Iota. Iota went up 5x. You made 500%. You're like, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love Iota. And then Iota sits still for a while, and you see Tron going up 123%. You see whatever, you see Ripple yesterday going up 50, 70%. And you're like, wait, why am I holding Iota if Iota's not moving and Tron's going up 100%? So you try and find that gain, and you try to find that gain, and it goes from there. I have never used the Iota wallet. I know it's been a little bit difficult for some people, so. I'm taking a look at these questions here. Hey, Josh, I still don't see your question, man. I see thank you, but I don't see any question. How manipulated do you think the crypto market is? I mean, I think the crypto market can definitely be pretty manipulated. I don't think there's any... I bought Cardano. Where do you store yours? Right now, there's a couple different places. The Dailius wallet, you can store it with that. You can keep it on an exchange. You can't use a Ledger Nano S. So I wish Ledger will add Cardano at some point in the future. Hopefully they will, but you can't add a Ledger Nano S. But the Dailius wallet is basically like the go-to one that you want to use if you want to get it off an exchange for sure. Correction before Christmas. Daedalus. Okay, yeah, I can't speak. Your thoughts on XRB Rayblox? So a lot of people have been asking me about this one. XRB has done well recently, really, really well. I don't have any. I don't own any, but I mean, oh wow, holy cow. So, I mean, that's a big boy move from 15 cents right now up to $3.20. I don't know. Let's see where. So somebody asked about this in the last super chat that I had, and it's doubled since then. So I should have listened. But somebody talked about this in a super chat recently. I forget his name. He might not be in here right now, but he was banging the door on Rayblox. So they are, I think, in some cases, supposed to be competitive to Iota and potentially better than Iota. So I haven't done enough due diligence to see if Iota, this is in any regards better than Iota or not. But yeah, people have said that this is pumping to all hell right now. So if you bought in at any point in time, sub 100 million bucks, good on you, because that is one heck of a trade. I don't have any right now. I don't know if I would buy on this pump, but I mean, that's like that type of chart is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Sweet, guys. So it's almost 8:30, so I need to, at this point in time, I need to actually get to real work. So I am going to, get that rolling. I'll stay in the chat here for a minute, but I appreciate the questions. Sorry that I couldn't answer all of them. Should have a daily video coming out later today, but got to get to work. So looking forward to getting the day started. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hope you had a good one. Hope you enjoyed this little edition of Crypto Breakfast Hour instead of Happy Hour. Hope you have a great day, great night, wherever you're watching in from. Crypto Bobby signing out. Peace, guys.